Are food portions in the US much bigger than in European nations? Substantially. In the past 4 months, I've really worked on managing my portions. I don't really diet, and because I exercise a lot, I have to make sure I eat enough, otherwise I cycle into starvation mode. The thing is, I went out to eat today and everything on the menu was massive. I ended up ordering an appetizer to split, calamari, and a side of roasted Brussels sprouts, more like deep fried, and a side of couscous. Even that was a huge amount. Yes. There's sort of a cultural tendency toward really big meals. In Chicago as a tourist, for instance, is extremely frustrating because you can't take away leftovers, and there are a lot of leftovers if you're not an offensive lineman for the Chicago Bears, since hotels might have a microwave oven, but don't provide plates and utensils. Interestingly, one factor that's led to bigger portions is the increase in the size of plates, bowls, mugs, and utensils. Because people eat most of what they serve themselves, any contextual cues that lead them to overserve should lead them to overeat. 1. There's a movement afoot to promote smaller plates and utensils. The website Small Plate Movement shows studies about the issue. I don't know if plate creep is an issue elsewhere. So much so that people have difficulty identifying the proper portion sizes for various types of food. For instance, the recommended portion size for a protein is the same size as a deck of cards, or about 3 ounces. The smallest burger I've ever seen here in the US is 6 ounces of meat, which is double the recommended size, even without the bun and toppings. If you gave someone a portion that size in a restaurant, they would be outraged at the tiny piece of meat or fish on their plate. Portion size plate, recommended serving sizes for portion control. This is based purely on personal experience, but yes, in general portions in the US are gigantic. I grew up in the States, then moved to London for a few years. I found it nice that I could order multiple courses and not receive such gigantic portions, that having a starter or 2, a main and dessert, and not be disgustingly full. The first time I came back to the US after about 6 months, I went to an Italian place with my mother. I ordered some sort of seafood or lobster pasta dish. The problem with it wasn't that there was a massive portion of lobster or whatever vegetables were in the dish, it was that there was a pound of spaghetti and the same amount of the more expensive protein and veg. For some reason we Americans equate value in food with gigantic portions, even if the larger portion size is because we throw a lot of cheap carbs into the dish to make it supersized. At another point when I was back, someone dragged me to a cheesecake factory. I was accustomed to ordering multiple courses, as were my British friends, so we ordered multiple courses. The waitress looked at us like we were insane, and we were. The 5 or 6 of us could have split 1 or 2 appetizers and a couple of mains. It wasn't because the dishes had tons of meat or vegetables, it was because they were stuffed with giant amounts of cheap carbs. True. There are the restaurants that serve a pound of meat, but most restaurants pile on giant amounts of pasta, bread, rice and other inexpensive bulk ingredients, and Americans think they're getting a good value. Just look at the stereotype of McDonald's. For $3, $5 you get 1/10th of a pound of beef slime, a big bun and 3/4 of a pound of fried potatoes.